What's up, people? I'm Xogue, and welcome back to the next video in the Vegas Pro Tutorial series. Now, this one, we're going to go over the time lapse. And the reason that I'm doing this one so soon in the series is mainly because it is highly requested. There's a lot of people that want to know how to do this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it so you guys can know how to do it. If you don't understand something in this video, such as what these things are, if you've just opened Vegas for the first time and want to jump straight into a time lapse, that's cool. That's pretty much what I did. But go back to my basics video and learn what everything is and how it works a little bit. And then that way, when I do some of this stuff, you're actually going to understand everything and you're not going to be so confused. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and move along, and I've chosen a video here. This is episode 4 of my Ryotcraft vanilla series. And the reason I chose this is because I have this cool little time lapse in here. It's not difficult. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't anything like that. So this is easy. This is an easy beginner time lapse for people. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is record your segment. All right, now you can do this in first person, like with you building. Just record what you would record and you'd be fine. Now, in order to get a third person like this, so you can see yourself building, such as this guy right here, then, you know, you need one of two things. One of two things. You either need a second Minecraft account, and then you log in on both accounts, and there's this cool little Alt-Tab trick thing. I'm not going to go into that because there are plenty of explanations out there on how to get that up and operational and how to make all that work. There's a lot of guides out there for that kind of thing. So if that's what you want to do, then feel free to look at that. The second option is a cool little camera mod that I'm actually using in this one right here. Now, this camera mod allows you to choose several points around the map, and then it will automatically navigate between all of them while recording, so that you get this cool little visual thing here. So it'll move around. And here in a second, we're going to take a look at this time lapse. It's not very long. It's not very crazy. And so we're going to go ahead and do that just so you can see it and you can see the camera mod. I hope. And there you go. There you have it. I think I actually say something along those lines right here. So that was the time lapse, and you see how the camera kind of moved around. That was the camera mod, and I'll have a link in the description for what you need. Probably just to the forum page actually, as far as how to install that in. They go through all of the setup and everything like that in that forum. So we're gonna go ahead. I'll leave a link in the description to that if that's the way you want to get it. But that's the first thing you need to do in any time lapse, is record what it is you want to time lapse. Now, the next thing about these videos, actually, I can show you. Which one is it? Ooh, you? Is it you? Are you the one? Yeah, you're the one. I think I already sped this up. Yeah, okay, that was already sped up. Anyway, so just ignore that. But anyway, so the next thing you need to do is actually drag it down. You see how I just dragged down this video file? Well, after you do that, you got to speed up time, right? Well, if you use the camera mod, it can do that in the settings for you. You won't necessarily have to do that with this. Like, as you see here, this is this came straight from that camera mod. It was already sped up for me and everything. But if you're using a regular snippet, let's just delete you. If you're using something regular, you're going to get something like this with audio and everything included. You're going to have the whole snippet. It's going to be really, really, really slow. And, it's not going to be a time lapse. So by default, when you drag a clip down here, you have the video and the audio. They are linked together. So if you hit delete, it's going to delete them both. But if we Control Z that, you can hit Control U to unbind them, to make them their own thing. And that way I can drag them along separately and therefore delete the audio without touching the video. Now it has this, you know, red hue that just means something's out of alignment or something along those lines. That's just a Vegas thing, but you can safely ignore that for the purposes of a time lapse. Anyway, so the next thing you need to do is, like I said, speed up time. So you see right here, if I go to the end of this, and I can't really zoom in on my mouse or anything, then for that I apologize. But if you go to the right side of this, right here, and then you hold control, you see how it changes a little bit, and it actually says trim event end or time stretch. Now time stretch is a little bit deceiving, but you see down there in the actual description, it says drag to time stretch or compress the event. So if you hold control and then drag to the other end of the video, you can make it go really, really fast. Let's bring this all the way to the end where there's not going to be any sound or anything. And we can play that from here. And then this part of the video will actually be sped up here in just a second. Here it goes. Oh, never mind. Hold on. Let me make it visible. Ooh, doesn't look very great. Doesn't look great. So then there's something else you need to do that will help tremendously for games like Minecraft. When you're not doing real world things in this. You see how it's all blurry and a little bit meh? Yeah, well, you can right click here, go to switches, and there's going to be two things you might want to pay attention to. One of which, it depends on how you record, but sometimes the aspect ratio is a bit off. So you can uncheck that and it will fix it in here. If you see black bars and stuff, just go in here and switch this to, uncheck the maintain aspect ratio. The other thing is that by default, by default, all video clips get this smart resample, which is dumb. I have never left this on for any video I have ever made, ever. That's what that blurriness is. If we go to disable resample, it cleans it up so much nicer. I don't know why that is on by default, but it is. But you see now, this sped up time, it's so much easier to see. You know, you can actually see what I'm doing now. So at the very least, for the purposes of a time lapse, turn that off. But really, you probably should do it for every video clip you ever add into any episode ever. Because I do. I have never left that on. At least, okay, I take that back. Sometimes I forget to turn it off. But I have never intentionally left that on. Anyway, so that's pretty much how you compress the time. That's you know, pretty much the time lapse right there. The only thing that's missing from this is the music. Now you see that I have actually included, since we deleted this audio, that's pretty much all we need. If we delete these, because I don't need you, you can stop now. What I have here is actually Dr. Vox Frontier. This is just one random sound music clip that I have laying around in my folders, and I'm not going to go through how to get, you know, all of these music files and stuff. There are free ones out there in the public that let you, you know, add them to videos and stuff for a limited thing. Most of them will require you to, you know, give attribution, which means you have to say where you got it from and who made it and how to get it, you know, for other people. Basically, you draw people to their site by using their music. You know, that's what they want you to do. And that's why you're allowed to use it in these videos, is so that people can hear it and then you can, you know, bring them into the fold. So for this right here, you're going to see that link, exactly how the attribution thing works, in the description of this video, because you did hear the video. You did hear this music. So now I have to include that attribution in here. And, you know, this is what it is. It's Dr. Vox Frontier by, I believe, a guy on SoundCloud. But it doesn't really matter. Like I said, I'm not going to go through how to get that or where to get any of that stuff. That's outside the scope of this video. But for this purpose, that after you get your music, after you get your video clip, and you shrink it down by holding control like that, you just have to align it like I have here. And you know, I like to have my little lead in right here. Like you hear this. Let me turn this down even more. You know, before it even finishes completely. I hope. You see how it leads into it like that? You see how it leads in? Before this video is completely over, as it's still transitioning, which transitions are another thing that's going to be a video in the future, if it's not already out, depending on when you're watching this. You know, but before the transition is even over, it started. And I like to do that. Sometimes I even bring it back more, so it actually starts in this video, you know, in the beginning of the last video. And you know, it just adds a little bit of cohesion to your video, and it brings everything together a little bit, and it makes, I don't know, it makes it work really nicely. That's just something I like to do. Anyway, so that's basically the time lapse. There's really not a whole lot else to it. The time lapses are pretty easy to do. Now, I am going to go ahead and show you a more complicated one. All right, I'm not going to expect you to get into all of it without watching any of the other videos or anything like that. I'm going to assume you haven't seen any of them because this video is actually recorded directly after the basics video, so I haven't made the other ones yet. So it's safe to assume you haven't seen them yet. Anyway, but I do want you to see some of, you know, a more complicated time lapse, one that I actually recently just did. I believe it was actually episode 10 when I did it, and I'm going to try my best to explain those some of the things I did with as much detail as possible so that you can at least get the general idea of what's going on. But in the future, we'll go over some specifics, and if you guys have any suggestions for, you know, things you would like seen done in Vegas, then feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be reading them. I will be taking suggestions and making videos based on those suggestions. So if you see something you like, or have seen something in another video of something you like and you think it can be done in Vegas, then leave a comment. If that idea has already been said by somebody else, then please upvote their comments so that it's higher on the list and I can see that it's, you know, wanted more. And that way I don't have to go down there and count comments or anything like that. So it'll just keep it organized that way if you guys can do that. And it'll be amazing. And then I can get cracking on, you know, making some of these other videos and stuff. And yeah, you guys will be good. But hang tight for just a second. I'm going to show you this other one that this other more complicated time lapse that I was working on. And yeah, it'll be pretty good. All right, so here is that time lapse. And I do want to show it to you first so you know, when I try to explain what happens, you're not like, wait, well, we didn't see it, so we don't know what you're talking about, right? That way you have an idea of what it is. So we're going to go ahead and play this real quick, and then I'll get started on the explanation shortly after that. Here. Like, here. You ready? Go! Doesn't it look like something's missing? Yeah, I think so too. Oh, right. So how did you like that? Yes, exactly, Xogue. That's perfect. Perfectly said, man. Anyway, so that's basically some of it. You saw it mess up a little bit here. Now, that actually brings me to a note I do want to mention. Sometimes when you do some very complicated things in Vegas, it will mess up in the preview. But after everything is rendered, it will look fine. All right, so there's a neat little trick that I do to make sure everything works, is that I highlight a certain segment, whatever segment isn't cooperating and doesn't want to show in Vegas, and then I go ahead and render it into a mini video, right? This is only, what, like 15 seconds or so, this little span right here. So you can do that, render only the loop region, which we'll go over, render settings and export settings and all that good stuff later. But for now, this is what's called the loop region with these two little arrow thingies. But you can render the loop region only. Words are a problem for me right now. Anyway, you can do that, and then you can see how it's actually going to look in the video after everything is rendered. So don't worry about the preview. The preview can be glitchy sometimes, but the actual video will be fine. All right. Now, this one right here is it's intermediate-ish. It's not a very complex time lapse. It's not hugely difficult. It's more just tedious. But if you pay attention right here in the beginning, let's actually see if we can turn these sounds down so I can play it without the music. So that way I can still demonstrate certain things. Down and down. Should get a decent little chunk of this. Let's move you down. All right, I should be able to get it now without any sound, I believe. Yeah, okay. So right here, right in this little segment right here, you're going to see the camera, and it's basically going to mirror. It's going to keep flipping back and forth over and over and over again. And then right around here, there's going to be a little flash. There's that flash. That's what kind of glitched out in the when I actually played it for you. That kind of glitched out a little bit, but removing the sound actually helped it play a little bit better. Anyway, so the way I did that is basically this was all one straight recording. I still have it up here. It's in one of these. I don't remember which one it is actually at the moment. Is it you? Oh no, that's... Wow. I didn't know it did that. Anyway, that's interesting. It's like it was already done. Oh, you know what? It was playing this one because... Never mind. I'm being a dummy. I'm being a total dummy. Let's try this again. It was being hidden because it was up top. It was below this one, so it was seeing all of this. And it couldn't show this. So we have to go all the way to the end here. There we go. All right. Which one are you? Are you the right one? Yeah, here we go. See how it's all one straight thing? You even see the black bars. This is one of those that I had to come in here and take off the maintain aspect ratio so then it looks good. And also the whole disable resample thing. But basically, you see how it's all one straight image? All I really did is I came in here and according to the beat of the music, which is not the easiest thing to do, you go along to this and actually see what notes you're hitting. But if you see here how it's kind of maxed out, like it's hard to show you some of this. I wish I had like a control zoom feature or something that I could use. But this right here is kind of a high point in the note. That's one of the beats that I wanted to time this flip to. And you see how every single one of them is pretty much aligned as closely as I could get it to one of those high points in the audio file. That's just me matching it up, you know, according to the beat. And that's a very, very handy technique for time lapses. It's something that's really, really cool. It brings everything together and it makes it sound amazing and look amazing. But if we go all the way to our, you know, far end thing here, all I really did in order to align it is I would find that line in the beat and then I would right click and say split. And then I go over here and right click and say split. So now instead of having one long one, I have three smaller, well, two smaller ones and then the rest of this one. But just imagine this one was like a lot shorter. Let's make another one in here. Let's split it again. And then we'll say that this one's really short. Now, say this one, you wanted this one to be normal, and then we can flip this one. Now, the way we do that is we add some special features to this guy right here. Right? And how do we do that? There's a lot of ways you can do that. First of all, you have video effects, which you can do some of these other cool things. And there's a lot of stuff in here. And I probably won't go over all of them unless there's a certain combination of these that looks like something that somebody wants. Something along those lines. But I'm not going to go through all of these really in a video, just because you can pretty much drag these onto whatever and see what it looks like. And it pulls up this extra little screen here, which popped up off screen, so I just had to drag it back on. And then you can change the settings and stuff like that, but I don't really want that. So we're going to Control Z that to remove it. You were supposed to be removed. Color corrector, yes. Remove you. Thank you. All right, good. But then there's this other thing you can do. See, this one was normal. This one is going to be something else. Now this is actually how you start the animation process too, which I will get into in the future because my intro was made in this. Actually, there's no animation in my intro, I don't think. But you can animate certain things like text. You can have text flying across the screen, or in some of my videos, I'll have, you know, like two clips side by side, and I'll make one grow or the other one, you know, grow or whatever. Anyway, so you can do some pretty cool stuff. But we're not going to go into all of that. But you see this event pan crop thing. It looks like a box with, I don't know, something going through it. But it's the second one from the left, or the right, I mean. It will open into a screen like this, which this thing, when I first opened it, I was like, what the heck is this thing? But now that I understand it, it's not too incredibly complicated. But what you can do with this, now pay attention up here too, because we have, you know, the live preview is enabled. And you will see it kind of stretch out, right? So what we can actually do with this, the way we reverse the clip, is that we drag this all the way over. And then we're going to drag this side past it. And now you see how that F in the middle is now backwards? We have the backwards F, which means this clip is now backwards. And then we can save this. You don't have to save it in any sort of way. After it's set up how you want, Vegas will remember. You can just go ahead and click the X button. But now you see this. See how it's blue? The icon actually turned blue. Now, in theory, that would mean you have to go in here and open this up for every single video. You don't. There's a very, very quick way of doing it. If you want the exact same effects on multiple clips, you can go in here and actually Control C or just right click and copy it. Now, when you paste, you don't just want to hit Control V because that will actually put another clip there. What you want to do is right click and go to Paste Event Attributes, and that will reverse it. So then when we play this guy, you will see it flip. Now, Vegas is having a little bit of trouble, but you get the idea. Like, it just, that's basically how I did it. Now, of course, this isn't according to any kind of musical beat or anything, so it doesn't look as special. But it is something pretty interesting that you can play with. Now, some of the other stuff, this flash in here, this flash is actually a transition, is what it's called. Now, transition is used to spice up in between cuts. Like normally I have like, let's go to a normal clip. Actually right here, let's do it right around here-ish. But you see how I kind of blend it right around here when it goes into it. I have it blended. That's called the cross, what is it called? The cross something. Ooh, I don't remember what you're called, man. Crossover or something like that. I'm not sure, but I don't ever have to go into the video FX to do that. All I really have to do is just drag it over. You see how it says the 1 second? It automatically goes to that first one, but you can do a lot of other things. Oh, transitions, that's why. It's the crossfade or cross effect. Yeah, there you go. That's what it's called. This is the default one. That's what it adds by default when you actually overlap one video on top of another. I mean, it's a pretty easy thing to do. It's really not all that difficult, but that's pretty much what it does, how it just crosses like that. And it's really cool. But you can do a few other things as far as these transitions go. And the one, this flash thing here, it might actually be a video effect. I'm not sure. I thought it was in here. Oh, yeah, here it is, the flash. So it kind of shows you a little, you know, graphic of what it looks like going between it. And all you got to do is overlap the videos like I was talking about. If you overlap them, then this little white and blue cross pattern here tells you that they're overlapped. And you can easily drag a transition right on top of it and create a new flash. And in this case, you know, you can change it. I wanted mine white, but you can easily make it black or red or blue or green or yellow or whatever color it is you want. You can change it up a little bit. Let's go and click here so you can kind of see. I guess you can't really see it too much. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit. See how it has kind of a little yellow hint to it? Let's decrease the vertical diffusion. And then you have the horizontal, which you can't really read that too much. Let's see if we can dull it down a little bit. Yeah, black? Sure. And we can see, yeah, it just kind of... It's hard to actually get this. Slowly, man. There's no slow about it. This is a very quick transition. It will time itself according to how much is overlapped. So this would actually go slower. So based on how much you overlap your videos will depend on how fast this transition actually goes. But in reality, we don't even want that at all. That's not something we're looking for. So we can Control Z all of this. Stop, stop, go away. There we go. Now it's back to normal. Perfect. So that's basically how I did that stuff. And then if you go over here, what's the next thing that I did? I think I just kept reversing it for a while. And here, what I did is, you see these guys? These were higher right here. This side and this side. And what these blue bars are is basically, it's telling Vegas how much of it to include in the video. If that makes any sense. In this case, since they're audio tracks, this is the volume knob. But for video tracks, you can actually, it also has one of these. And if I drag it down, it's making it less visible. You see that? It's like turning down the video. Now, a lot of times you're not going to have this little blue bar here by default. And what you need to do is actually, if you, like, this is what it looks like regular. So if you want that bar to show up, what you need to do is you go here to automation settings. And then all you have to do is click this guy. And once you click it, that blue bar will actually pop up. And it will give you 1 point already, wherever this line is. So then you can start from there. You can start, you know, raising it or lowering it, or you can add a point and then you can raise it, lower it, and see how it's now curving and bending rather than doing the entire line. That's because there's more points, and now it knows to go from this point at this level down to this point at this level, and it's just kind of a thing that happens. It's pretty cool that way. Anyway, so what I'm telling this, you know, this section right here is to lower the volume of the music down, like way, way, way low. It's not quite well, actually it is, but it wasn't in the video. It's not quite at volume 0. It's not all the way turned down, but it's pretty close. And that is just so you can actually hear me talk at this point in time and say something about, doesn't it look like it's missing something? Yeah, I think it does too. And then the volume goes back up, and then I cut into my second time lapse. I link them together that way. And then, you know, I build my little diamond thing that I have in the middle, which is really cool. And then I go back to the whole reverse switching, and that way, you know, it kind of ties everything together and makes everything look pretty decent. It's pretty cool. Now, you can do a lot of crazy things. There's a lot of these transitions and video effects in here. There's a lot of different stuff you can play with. And I thoroughly recommend that you do so. I mean, seriously, if you want to try to make a time lapse, go get your video that you want to speed up, that you're looking to time lapse, drag it down here, you know, delete the audio like I was talking about. Don't forget Control U and then delete key, and it will delete your audio and not your video. And then go get your music, drag it down here, and just play with it. You know, just mess around a little bit. Be like, I want to make a cut right there on that beat, and we're going to split that guy right there. And then we're going to blend this over, and let's see what kind of transitions we can get in. We want a flash. Cool. We're going to do a flash that's red and all this other stuff. And we're going to see what that looks like according to the beat. Does it work? I don't know. Oh, that's a pretty big transition, man. I don't know. It looks pretty cool. And then boom, and then you're at somewhere else. You know, and it's a cool little thing you can do. I mean, they're not all that difficult. I did kind of go into transitions a little bit, didn't I? Anyway, so I'll probably have another separate video for those, but that's basically how you can do your time lapses if you want them cut up. Or, you know, that's this complicated one that I actually cut it up. You see in the other video, earlier in the video, I showed that other little smaller one where I didn't do anything to it. I just shrunk it down and added music. That's why I said it was the easy one. That's an easy time lapse. This is a more complicated one. These are the ones that take a little bit more time, but they're also a lot more fun. So that's about all I've got for this time-lapse tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to explain that thoroughly enough for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you have any suggestions for Vegas tutorials that you would like to see, feel free to leave those in the comments. And yeah, if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to see more and you want my videos sent directly to you, then don't forget to subscribe. Comment, favorite, share if you feel like you want to. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.